Bank manager slaps a black mother holding a baby. Seconds later she is fired. In every city, behind polished glass doors and the calm hum of daily business, there are stories that never make the headlines, stories of ordinary people pushed to their breaking point, stories of power abused and dignity threatened. But sometimes, the world turns in ways no one expects. Sometimes the person everyone underestimates becomes the storm that changes everything. Today's story is one of those moments. This is the story of a hardworking black mother who walked into a bank one ordinary morning with her baby in her arms, carrying nothing but hope and a simple request. She didn't expect trouble, didn't seek confrontation, and had no idea her life was about to collide with the arrogance of someone who believed their position made them untouchable. But in a matter of seconds, a shocking incident would unfold. A slap witnessed by horrified customers and recorded by a hidden camera someone didn't know was rolling. And what happened afterward would shake the bank, the city, and eventually the entire internet. This is more than a story of injustice. It's a story of courage, consequences, and a mother's refusal to be silenced. And trust me, the moment karma steps into the building, everything changes. So sit back, pay attention, and let this tale remind you that respect is a simple price that everyone should be willing to pay, no matter their status. Before we go any further, comment where in the world you're watching from and make sure to subscribe because tomorrow's story will be the one you don't want to miss. The fluorescent lights inside Oak Ridge National Bank always felt a little too bright, humming overhead like they had something to complain about. The marble floor reflected every step, every sigh, every impatient shuffle of customers waiting in the long Friday morning line. Amara Ndoye held her baby girl, Zuri, close to her chest. It was barely 10 a.m., but the sun outside had already turned the city's sidewalks into warm mirrors. She had walked 20 minutes with Zuri wrapped snugly in a soft yellow blanket, hoping to solve a simple problem, a fraudulent withdrawal that had drained nearly all of her savings. She worked 2 jobs. She budgeted every franc. She did everything right. But someone else's mistake had now left her struggling to buy baby formula. The line crept forward slowly, and Amara bounced Zuri gently, whispering soft lullabies in Wolof to keep her calm. The baby cooed and pressed her tiny hand against her mother's chin. A few customers noticed the exhausted look on Amara's face and gave sympathetic smiles. Others seemed too busy to care. At the far end of the hall, inside a glass-walled office, bank manager Victoria Hale stood like a polished statue, tall, blonde, sharply dressed, and known by every employee for having the temperament of a ticking bomb. She didn't tolerate delays, questions, or anything that made her feel beneath her position. For weeks, she'd been on edge, ever since corporate announced surprise audits and hinted that regional managers were being considered for promotion. Victoria wanted that promotion more than anything. And today, nothing was going to ruin her perfect image. Or so she thought. When Amara reached the teller, she explained her situation politely. I just need the withdrawal reversed. I have proof it wasn't me. And I really need access to my money today, my baby needs formula. The teller, a young man named Henry, looked genuinely sympathetic. I'm so sorry this happened. Let me call the manager. This requires authorization. He picked up his phone. Victoria appeared less than a minute later, heels clicking like sharp punctuation marks on the marble. Yes, she snapped. What's the issue? Henry cleared his throat carefully, he'd been scolded enough times to fear her. This customer had a fraudulent withdrawal. She needs immediate reversal. Victoria's eyes swept over Amara, starting at her worn sandals, lingering on the baby in her arms, then narrowing judgmentally at her simple cotton dress. Well, Victoria said with a sigh, that's not something we can do instantly. She'll have to file a claim and wait 3 to 5 business days. Amara shook her head respectfully. I already filed the claim online. The system told me to come here so a manager could expedite it. I really need the funds today. My account is almost empty. Victoria folded her arms. That's not my problem. Something in those words, cold, dismissive, dripping with superiority, made the room feel heavier. Amara swallowed her frustration. "Please, ma'am. I'm not asking for anything extra. Just what's mine." Victoria's lips curled. "Look, I don't know what you people always think managers can do, but you are not getting special treatment." A few customers frowned, shifting uncomfortably. "What do you mean, you people?" Amara asked quietly. "Exactly what it sounds like," Victoria replied. Henry glanced around nervously. This wasn't the first time Victoria had said something questionable. But this was different. Customers were watching. Phones were out. Amara felt heat rising in her chest, but she stayed calm. "Ma'am, please just look at the paperwork. Just the paperwork. That's all I'm asking." Victoria stepped closer, invading her space. "I said no." Zuri began to fuss, sensing the tension. Amara rocked her gently. "Baby. Mama's here." The soft sound seemed to annoy Victoria even more. "Is the baby going to cry the entire time you're in here?" she snapped. That was when everything changed. Amara looked up with tired eyes. "She's just hungry. That's why I don't care." Victoria exploded. "Either stop the noise or step aside and let real customers get service." Gasps rippled through the room. A few customers exchanged horrified looks. But Amara remained calm. "Ma'am, we are all customers." "Not today you aren't," Victoria spat. "You're a disturbance." Amara blinked. "I'm holding my child. That is not a disturbance." Victoria stepped even closer, her face twisting with rage. "I'm not going to argue with you. Leave. Now." "I won't leave without my own money," Amara replied softly but firmly. Her voice didn't shake. It didn't rise. It simply held the kind of strength only a mother could possess. And Victoria hated that calmness. "You don't tell me what you will or won't do," she snapped, and then, in a moment of reckless fury that would cost her everything, she raised her hand and slapped Amara across the face. The crack echoed through the bank like a gunshot. Zuri burst into terrified screams. Amara staggered from the blow but tightened her arms protectively around her baby. Every customer froze. Phones lifted. Cameras recorded. Henry stood rooted in horror. Victoria, breathing heavily, suddenly realized, too late, what she had done. "You hit me," Amara whispered, stunned. No, she provoked me." Victoria stammered, looking wildly around as if anyone would defend her. But all she saw were eyes filled with disgust. "She hit that woman holding a baby," someone whispered loudly. "Call security," another said. "No, call the police." Henry stepped forward with trembling hands. "Ma'am, you need to step back. Now." Victoria pointed at Amara desperately. She was being aggressive. She refused to follow instructions. "That is not what happened," a customer said firmly, phone raised. "I recorded everything." Victoria's face drained of color. Another customer added. "Me too. She didn't even raise her voice. You hit her for no reason." Victoria looked around, panic rising like a tide. This is taken out of context." But the context was already clear. Amara wiped a tear from her cheek, not from pain, but from the shock of being struck while holding her child. A security guard rushed over. "What's going on?" Several customers spoke at once. "The manager hit her. She slapped her while she was holding a baby. I have the video." Victoria tried to compose herself. "This is insane. She's just trying to get me in trouble." One of the customers walked forward, calm and steady. "You got yourself in trouble." The security guard looked at Amara gently. "Ma'am, are you okay? Amara nodded slowly. I'm fine. My baby's just scared. But Zuri's cries told a different story. That was when the double glass doors swung open. Regional Director Samuel Cross had just stepped in for an unannounced inspection, something no one, especially Victoria, expected. It took him less than 5 seconds to assess the chaos. What happened? He demanded. A dozen voices answered at once. Customers thrust phones toward him. Henry stepped forward. Security pointed at Victoria. But Samuel's gaze locked onto Amara, her red cheek, her crying baby, her trembling but unbroken posture. Did my manager do this to you? He asked quietly. Amara nodded once. Victoria tried to rush toward Samuel. Sir, please, that woman is lying. Samuel raised a hand, silencing her instantly. Victoria, step into my office. Now. She obeyed, but her steps were unsteady. Samuel turned to the guard. Stay with her. Do not let her leave this building. Customers murmured with satisfaction. Then Samuel approached Amara. I'm so deeply sorry this happened. I promise you, this will be handled immediately. And when he said immediately, he meant it. Victoria Hale had less than 60 seconds left in her job, and she didn't even know it. Regional Director Samuel Cross stood still for a moment, silently taking in the red mark on Amara's face, the shaking in her arms as she cradled her baby, and the uncomfortable cluster of customers watching with anticipation. His expression was calm, but his eyes burned with anger. Ma'am, he said softly, could you please step into my office? I want to speak with you privately. And don't worry, security will remain here with the manager. The customers parted, creating a path for Amara. Some nodded at her, others mouthed we saw everything, and a few murmured comforting words as she walked past. Zuri had calmed slightly, though she still whimpered in her mother's arms. Samuel escorted Amara into his office. Victoria's office was immediately sealed off by another guard. Once the door closed, Samuel spoke with the kind of steady seriousness that made even the walls seem to listen. Before anything else, he began, I want to apologize. What happened to you is unacceptable, unethical, and illegal. And I promise you, it will not be swept under the rug. Amara sat carefully, rocking Zuri. I didn't want any trouble, she said quietly. I just needed my money so I could buy formula. My baby hasn't eaten in hours. Samuel nodded, jaw tightening. You're going to get every cent back today. And much more. He reached for his landline phone. Send the head of claims and 2 branch supervisors to my office right now. Then he looked back at Amara. While they come, can you explain exactly what happened? In your own words. Amara told him everything, from the moment she arrived to the instant Victoria's hand struck her. She didn't exaggerate, she didn't need to. The truth was already enough to make Samuel's face turn a dangerous shade. He took detailed notes, recording every phrase. Meanwhile, outside the office door, the tension inside the bank lobby grew thicker. Customers whispered, replaying their videos, showing each other the footage. A young woman had already uploaded a clip anonymously, captioned. Bank manager hits mother holding a baby. Unbelievable. Within minutes, it began to spread. Inside the office, 3 staff members arrived. Samuel immediately briefed them. This woman has been assaulted by your branch manager. She needs her funds restored immediately, a full investigation opened, and every second of witness testimony secured. One of the supervisors, an older woman with kind eyes, looked at Amara sympathetically. We're so sorry you went through this. We'll fix your account right now. But Samuel wasn't done. I want the reversal processed, plus an immediate temporary credit of 500,000 CFA for distress while corporate handles compensation. Amara froze. 500,000. Samuel nodded. Minimum. She blinked, overwhelmed. I don't even know what to say." "You don't have to say anything," Samuel said. "We failed you." While the team worked on her account, Samuel stepped outside the office. The moment he appeared, all eyes snapped toward him. He approached the security guard standing beside Victoria. "Bring her," he ordered quietly. Victoria was escorted into a separate room down the hall. She still looked flustered, but now fear dominated her features. "Samuel, please, let me explain." He cut her off coldly. "There is nothing you can say that will justify assaulting a customer. Especially one holding an infant." "You're taking her side," she demanded. "I'm taking the truth's side," Samuel replied. "And the truth is all over half the phones in this lobby. Those videos don't show the whole story. They show exactly what matters," Samuel said. "You slapped her." Victoria paced, panic rising. "I've worked here 12 years. I've never had a complaint. You're not going to ruin my entire career over one misunderstanding." Samuel looked at her with an expression that almost resembled pity, almost. "You ruined your own career the moment your hand made contact with her face." And then he handed her a letter. Victoria's eyes widened as she scanned it. "No. No. You can't do this. You're firing me." "Effective immediately," Samuel confirmed. "You'll be escorted off the premises." "This is insane. You're choosing her over me. Some random woman." "Some." Samuel stepped closer. "Finish that sentence," he warned. Victoria swallowed the rest of her words. Minutes later, she was marched out the front doors, not to applause, because the lobby wasn't that kind of place, but to a heavy, satisfied silence. A few customers recorded her departure. One man muttered, "That's what you get." Back inside, Amara's account was fully restored. She stared at the updated balance on the printed slip, relief flooding her chest. "Thank you," she whispered. But the story was far from over. Samuel sat across from her again. "Ms. Ndoye, whatever happens next is up to you. The bank will launch a full internal investigation. Corporate will reach out with further compensation. You also have the right to file charges. And we will support that." Amara nodded slowly, tears gathering in the corners of her eyes. "All I wanted was to feed my baby." "And now you will," Samuel said warmly. "And more." Before she could respond, someone knocked on the door. It was Henry, the teller. "Sir, the video has gone viral. It's already at 50,000 views. News blogs are calling the branch, and people are gathering outside." Samuel sighed deeply. "I expected as much." Amara's heart skipped. "I didn't want this to happen to so many people." "No," Samuel said. "This happened because of one person." He stood and offered Amara his hand. "If you're comfortable, we'll escort you to your car through the staff exit. There's too much commotion at the front." She nodded, grateful. Security cleared the hallway. The staff exit opened to a quieter alley where Amara could breathe again. Samuel walked her to a taxi and held the door. "I'll personally see to it that you're kept informed," he assured her. "And if you need anything, anything at all, call me." "Thank you," she said again. He smiled. "Take care of that beautiful baby." As the taxi drove off, Samuel watched thoughtfully. He knew this incident would explode far beyond his control. And he was right. 48 hours later. The video hit 2.1 million views. Hashtags trended. News channels debated the incident. The bank released a public apology. And Victoria. Victoria's name was everywhere, tied permanently to her mistake. Meanwhile, Amara received hundreds of messages of support. Some offered to help financially, others offered legal advice. And one morning, she received a call from a number she didn't recognize. "Hello. Ms. Ndoye. This is Marissa Campbell, Head of Corporate Communications at Oak Ridge National Bank. We're calling to inform you that the board has approved a settlement package for you. A settlement? Amara asked slowly. Yes. Given the nature of the incident, the damage caused, and the widespread attention, the bank wishes to compensate you. 15 million CFA, plus lifetime free banking services, and an official public apology from our CEO. Amara nearly dropped her phone. I don't know what to say. You don't have to say anything. You deserve it. She hung up the call and hugged Zuri tight, tears falling onto her baby's soft hair. A moment of cruelty had turned into a moment of justice. Not because Amara fought violently, not because she raised her voice, but because she stood firm in her dignity when someone tried to take it from her. And sometimes, that is all it takes to change everything. If you enjoyed this story, make sure you like the video and subscribe for more powerful stories like this.